The top 5 most common seller objections you're going to face as a beginner wholesaler and how to overcome them. What's up, guys? Zach in here.
Rick in here.
In today's video, we're going to break down the most common objections you're going to get starting out in wholesaling real estate and how to easily overcome them. This is going to be like a $5,000 acquisitions seminar boot camp. We're going to give away this seminar boot camp today in this video absolutely for free because, come on, that's what we do. So before we get into it, guys, before we break everything down, do us a big favor and smash that like button and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So in your 20 years, my 5+ years of wholesaling real estate experience, making millions of dollars, we can really bring down most seller objections we have from our acquisitions team and us starting out into basically 5 things, especially when you're starting out. A quick disclaimer. Most of these objections you can easily destroy, not even by saying the right words, by just your tonality and your confidence.
The key to this is it's important what you say, but it's often important how you say it and the tone and the spacing you use in your words. Guys, listen, communication is much more than just words. It's tonality, it's speed, it's saying the right words at the right time. And don't forget, if you guys are doing physical appointments, that communication is done 70% non-verbal.
So let's go with number 5 here. Number 5 common objection you need to get over. This is the maybe. So for example, we're talking to you, right?
Yeah.
So I go to you and I say, Mr. Seller, will you take $100,000 for the house? And you go, maybe. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? I got to think about it. Maybe. I don't know. And then you're like, wait, what do I do? Guess what happens 2 weeks later? They sign with a realtor, it gets listed, sold, or it goes with wholesaler number 4, right? This is a huge seller objection that you're going to get. And this is probably the only seller objection that you can completely avoid by just doing the right thing, right?
100%. So guys, remember, a maybe, they're just telling you they don't have enough information to even make a decision, and you are nowhere near closing up. The biggest technique we can share with you with maybe, and maybe is, in my opinion, the #1 deal killer, because it's not a yes and it's not a no. There's no definitive answer, and it's hard to proceed and move forward in your sales process. To avoid this, what you want to do is deal with it up front. Rick, what are you talking about? It's real simple. We call it the upfront agreement. You're basically conditioning your seller to give you a commitment for a yes or no at the end of your conversation. And it simply goes like this. I just turn to my seller and I said, listen, Mr. Seller, we're going to spend probably about 45 minutes to an hour. And in that time, I'm going to go over, I'm going to get to learn a little bit more about you and about the house. And at the end of our conversation, you'll have a decision to make. You're either just going to say, hey, Rick, I love working with you, or absolutely not, you're not a good fit, and I'm going to give you a hard no. Either way, you agree to make a decision, and I promise you this, no matter what the outcome is, I will help you get your house sold. So can I get a confirmation that you can make a decision, yes or no, at the end of our conversation?
Sure. That's it. That's called conditioning your seller. Do it before every conversation. You guys been hearing it from the challenge, what we've been doing here. This is what you got to be doing. If you want any more tips and tricks on conditioning the seller, just go through the freewholesaling.com acquisitions modules or through the mailing mastery modules. Number 4, this is a big objection you always get. It's like, what's your offer? What's your offer? Huh? What's your offer? What's your offer? Like that New York style, it's very aggressive. Hey, is this Zach? Yes, this is Zach. Are you interested in selling your house? Huh? Oh, you buy houses? Yes, I do. What's your offer then? Huh? I need an offer. And they're like super aggressive. This is a pretty easy objection to overcome, right?
Yeah, and you guys got to understand is this is where you have to assert yourself or you will lose control. If you let your seller lead the conversation, they're just going to pick the highlights they want. And they don't want to hear anything else, and you're going to lose control. And I guarantee you, you will not get a deal. You'll actually do your seller a disservice by doing this. So what you have to do is take back control of the conversation without them knowing it.
So when you get this objection, you have to use the car analogy. Would you test drive a car before buying it? Of course you would, and then you explain it from there. So let's go a quick example. Hello, hi, is this Rick? Or are you interested in selling your property?
You just, what's your name?
Zach.
Zach, what's the offer? Let's just get to it. Let's just get to it. I don't want to waste time. What's your offer on the property?
I'd love to give you an offer.
What's the number?
I'd love to give you an offer. I just have a quick question for you.
Well, if it's got the offer, sure.
Yeah. Have you ever bought in a car?
Of course I have.
And have you ever test driven the car before you bought it?
Yes, of course I would.
Okay. So just like me, you would want to test drive the car before you buy it, right?
Sure.
Well, kind of like a house, I'm pretty serious about buying the property. I'm going to have to go look inside of it before I can give you an offer. Me and my partner are a little old school. We like to buy the property. Sometimes we renovate it. Sometimes we keep it. Sometimes we rent it out. I'm going to have to actually go there, look at it, feel it, touch it, and actually look at the property and see the condition of it and see if this is something that's going to be the right fit or not for me. I'm not this type of person that goes out here, looks at the property online, buys it sight unseen. That's just not how we are. We actually like to go in person and look at it. So Mr. Rick, we're really serious about buying this property, and that's why we want to look at it in person. So whatever date works for you, I'd love to go by and actually look at it. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the property?
Sure.
And then boom, you get into the 4 questions there. What you have to do is when you have an aggressive person asking what's your offer, you're going to have to disarm them because they're just going crazy, right? Go, bah, 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 right? And they just don't stop. And they're going to keep asking, what's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? You're going to have to calmly diffuse the situation and speak calmly. Now, I know we like to explain that you have to be like a chameleon with your seller and match them, but when someone's getting super hot-headed and like aggressive, sometimes in this situation, I need to cool them down and bring them back to speed so they're not in that aggressive mode. A lot of people just get a cold call, they get aggressive, they get angry, and they're getting emotional with it. And they're probably not like that if you just met them off the street. So you really want to calm them down and explain. And the coolest part about this is you got to get serious, right? And if you're a serious buyer, you're going to look at it in person. You're not going to buy it sight unseen. And most sellers will agree to that.
And I've never gotten a good deal when I got in a fight with a seller.
No.
So instead of fighting with them, learn how to dance with them and you'll get much, much further.
Objection number 3. Oh, I got to speak to my wife before I can make that decision on selling or not. This brings us back to number 5, right? Conditioning.
Correct. This can all be avoided up front when you're doing your conditioning. Actually, kind of call it preconditioning. When you're qualifying your sellers on the phone, the most critical question you can ask is, are all the decision makers going to be present? The last thing you want to do is pitch one party and have them translate that and take the highlight reel of what they think is important and tell their significant other or the other property owner. Or worst case scenario, you got to do the same presentation twice, which becomes inefficient. And honestly, it's exhausting. It's better off to have everybody present there. If you just precondition them, it will make a huge difference when your presentation and you're more likely to get the outcome you desire. Guys, so important. Are all the decision makers going to be present? And make sure they verify who is going to be on that appointment when you go. Remember, I want to know if 5 people are showing up. You do not want surprise guests when you sit down for an appointment with a seller.
You don't. This brings us back to the 2 things that are going to lose that deal when it comes to the speak to my wife thing. First off, if you ask someone, hey, are you ready to make a yes or no decision? Most of them say, no, I can't until I have my wife near me.
Correct.
Some might not even do that. What you have to understand is ask the person. This isn't a very controversial question to ask, but when you're ready to set the appointment, hey, are you married? Yes, I'm married. Well, is your wife or husband on the deed? Yes. Well, I'd rather both of you guys be on there and then go from there. I'm telling you right now, if you build a bunch of rapport with the husband and the wife feels left out, she's not going to like you. Vice versa, you build all the rapport with the wife and the husband's left out, they'll feel angry. You have to have both of them there. That's going to be the best way for you to get a wholesaling real estate deal. This brings us back to number 2 here, right? This is the classic, I need more money for the house, or Zillow says my house is worth blah. So if your seller says they need more money for the property, there's really one objection to get over this. We are not going to be the ones who are going to give the most for the property. I think that's one thing a lot of wholesalers don't understand, that we're here to deal with the people that want to sell for a discount. And hey, sometimes you encounter people that just want the most for the house. A lot of wholesalers feel like they're got to be like, oh my gosh, hope they don't think about a realtor because then they're going to make more money and then I don't get paid. If they want to deal with the realtor, let them deal with it. We want to deal with the people that don't want to deal with the realtor, right? Just don't force it. We always push. We don't pull. Like, we don't chase the seller. We have them chasing us, especially in markets like this. You cannot be chasing like crazy. These sellers do not like it. That's completely different than doing a bunch of follow-ups, right? Just tell the seller, hey, if you want more money, I know a great realtor who could probably list it for the most for you. If you say those words to that seller, they're going to be like, wow, this guy actually cares about me. And if they don't deal with a realtor, you would have built so much more rapport and trust. Now, sometimes I get deals where I'm like, well, I'm probably going to go with a realtor. That's fine. You cannot push these sellers, and you got to be in their best interest. You make so much more money doing this.
I agree. You are never going to win as opposed to someone saying, hey, listen, I can get the max with a realtor. Instead of running from it, just go into it. Great. You want to why don't you just go ahead and list it with a realtor? Why are we talking? See, if you do the takeaway, it takes the power away. There's a reason they don't want to list it with a realtor, and that's why you're standing or talking to them on the phone.
Exactly. And when they go like, oh, Zillow says, and my estimate says, that's great. How much did Zillow offer to buy the house for? And they're going to say this. Well, Zillow said $500,000, but how much did Zillow offer you the house for? You got to play dumb. And they're going to be like, well, they didn't offer it. They just said it's worth it. Oh, so it's not an offer. You got to play dumb, because when you talk to a seller, the best, this is any sales or acquisitions training, just in general for business, the best way to convince a seller to go with you is by not hey, Mr. Seller, you go with me. You have to make the seller think of it, quote unquote, on their own by giving them a little roadmap to it. They have to come up with a decision yourself. So their one objection is like, well, my estimate's this. This is why I'm not going to go with Zach. Wait, it's just his estimate.
Yes.
Oh, shoot, right? That's not an offer. This is the same thing of my brother's sister's niece is a realtor and she said she could sell it for $500,000. I'll say, wow, the realtor really offered you $500,000? No, right? And then you just got to explain it from there. I've seen sellers' eyes glaze over like, wait a second. It's got me the deal so many times.
Instead of running from the whole realtor Zillow thing, go right through it. Most people that don't want to sell a realtor understand that the time, the inspections, the appraisals, and the average house by the time you list it with a realtor or negotiate is anywhere from 12 to 16%. There's a reason they contact you. Help them out and guide your sellers to get them the deal they want.
100%. So let's break down some honorable mentions before we get into number one. Here's a big honorable mention. It's just the questioning. This is kind of close to the maybe or what's your offer, but a lot of sellers sometimes are going to be aggressive. You just got to understand these types of people. The who are you? What do you want? How much is your offer? Like those type of people are just constantly questioning you. What's your company's name? Like all this information. Just understand if you have a seller that's like aggressively inquiring about you, like really aggressively, what's your EIN number? What's your LLC name? Blah, 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 blah. Just know most motivated sellers aren't that aggressive. They're like, oh my gosh, you're going to buy my house, please. Like they're motivated. Motivated people aren't really aggressive.
They don't care what your LLC name is.
Every motivated seller I've dealt with has not been terribly aggressive. Even the aggressive personalities, they haven't because they want to get rid of the property. That's a very quick way of figuring out if this is going to be a good deal or not a good deal. It's just by the way their tonality is with you.
Remember, you're not going to get every deal, but fighting back with an aggressive seller asking business questions, you got to instantly attack the motivation. If the motivation's not there, don't waste your time. No. Motivated sellers want to get their problem solved. They're not interested in looking at your taxes or finding out which LLC you're using.
And at the end of the day, if you don't have an LLC, just say, I just buy it under my own name. Is that going to affect me buying the property if I have the cash? I've seen people have that objection sometimes. It's all about the way you do your confidence. But if someone's questioning you, just calmly answer the questions if you can.
Exactly.
But you can bring back the conversation like, is this a question about my company or is this a question about me buying the house? My company just buys houses or I just buy houses cash and then give them your name, right?
At the end of the day, you want to focus on your seller's goal, their outcome, which is getting the property sold. If you focus on that and get them off like the business questions, your LLC, your taxes, all these structures, focus on solving the problem and you will do better on your outcome. The next bonus one is third party. So this is when they say, I need my lawyer to review it. Now, a lot of people teach you in this business, like, do never, ever give it to a lawyer. It's the kiss of death. I'm here to tell you, if you take that approach, I guarantee you they won't do a deal with you. Because it looks like you're hiding something or you're scared to have the lawyer review it. So instead of doing that, a simple way is say, absolutely. Hey, what's your lawyer's name and what's his email address? If they can't answer it to you, you instantly snuff them out. It's a bluff. And most of the time, they just want to see if you're going to participate or you're going to blow them off. And I found in my 20 years experience, if you just acknowledge it and move forward, and then you can expand on it. What are some of the questions that concern you that you want to share with your lawyer? And just see if there's any additional information you can provide them for me. At the end of the day, once you get that information, you get an email, you get a name, send over a template contract with just their name on it without prices and see if they balk at looking at it. More than half the time, they won't even open the email or it will never get sent. Guys, don't be scared of the third party on the lawyer. The other one is, hey, my neighbor's thinking about buying the property. Great. Are they already qualified to get a mortgage for the property? They already have a mortgage. Most neighbors are not qualified to buy an investment property.
Oh, those are my favorite.
It takes a credit score. They usually got to come up with 30% of a down payment minimum. And the reality is, do they have that money sitting on the sideline? I have never lost a deal to a neighbor. So when you hear it, just walk them through the hey, which broker are they using? So I can confirm if it's a great deal. I hope you guys put it together and move on. The neighbor's never the risk. It's once again usually a bluff. Most neighbors that say, hey, I'm interested in buying the house, they get the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Yeah. So if I submit a contract, it invokes them to come in. And that's when you got to tell them, listen, Mr. Seller, I'm here. I'm focusing on getting your house bought. We need to buy it for cash. I'm highly qualified for it. What's your neighbor's mortgage broker? Like who are they qualified with it? Yeah. Are they already approved? And just start putting the seed of doubt. Do they have $150,000 cash? Guys, the third party, there's always a reason to attack it. The other one is when Zach talked about earlier is like My Realtor. My Realtor is, remember, there's a reason you didn't list it with your realtor. Listing a property and selling a property are usually two different conversations. I thought we were here to have a conversation about selling it. And once you focus on that, they don't want people going through the house. I don't want to take 12% like discount at the end. I'm already going to price it in there. Guys, the third party objection, just be prepared because they're coming. And if you respond in a confident, educated way, you can easily get through it.
And this brings us back to the last couple bonus ones. Proof of funds. Oh, do you have proof of funds? Guys, if you're confident when talking to the seller, you're never going to get asked for proof of funds. But if you have to, use your cash buyer's proof of funds. And the last bonus here is, gee, you really look young. I've gotten this so many times. Really it comes back to the LLC thing, right? Will my age affect me buying the property if I have the funds ready to go, me and my partner? No? Was my age going to affect it? Right? That's all you can basically say, because what are you going to say? Oh, I'm not young. I'm 64. Like, what? Come on, guys. Like, don't lie. Never lie to your seller. That's just a general rule you should always have. Say the truth. Embrace it. I always do this. I embrace the objection and I always go after it.
And remember, the younger you are, I know you lack experience and you think that's going to shoot holes in your confidence. You need to think of it as the opposite. Your youth is your asset, and what you lack in wisdom and experience, you should be able to easily make up in enthusiasm, excitement. People love to give people chances, and if you have a great attitude and you come from a place of helping the seller, your age will never be an obstacle.
100%. And this brings us back to the number one objection you're going to always get, and this is no. And this always freaks people out, right?
Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, they said no to my offer. How do I force them to go with me and sign my contract on the dotted line? The truth is, you should be happy for a no.
Yeah.
In real estate wholesaling, when you give an offer, you only want two things, a yes or a no. Maybe is the worst thing. Maybe is worse than a no to me. A no means either two things. Either I gotta go up in my price, and if I have wiggle room to make money, I'm going at it. Or are they saying no because they want more money and it just doesn't work for me for a wholesaling deal? No big deal. We're just not going to get the deal. It just happens like that. It's statistic. Do you think statistically I get 100% of the deals? No. Look at any big basketball player. Their field goal percentage is less than 100%. You don't get all of them in, but it just over time, your average can be amazing. And that's sort of the goal.
And the goal of this video is to help you prevent when you get a maybe and then they drag you on 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And eventually they get so aggravated, they go, listen, just no, I was never going to do a deal with you anyways. Yeah. And you go, you would have been better off to snuff that no out up front because at least you can move on to the next lead and you can either put them in the follow-up if you want, or you can kill the lead and move on. Guys, no is actually giving you a reward for going down all the objections, overcoming them, and then having them make an informative decision. No, you're going to get a lot of no's. No is excellent because it saves you time and you can move on. The problem is if you stick in that maybe zone, it is forever. You get stuck there. I know I've been stuck there. Zach's been there. We've all been there. Use these tools to get a decision of yes or no. That's the outcome you want. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, they want me to get no. You are going to get more no's than yes. That is the objective in wholesaling. And do not feel bad when you get a no because you have finality into it. That means I got to have a yes coming up.
Exactly. And if they get a no, ask them why they're saying no. If it's for price, then fine, get rid of it. But if it's a no because they don't trust you or anything like that, you got to go back through the rigmarole and try to build that trust back up. But guys, these are the most common objections you're going to get. They're going to be pretty simple to get over. I've gotten asked these objections probably hundreds of times, each one, you too. You know how to get over them, pretty simple. But guys, just focus on building that rapport, having confidence, and taking action. If you have not gotten these objections, you just haven't wholesaled enough, and eventually you'll get to it and you'll overcome them very easy. The best way to go over them is just being asked them and overcoming them, that experience. But hopefully this video will help you out. Do us a big favor. I feel like you should write down all these objections, go in a mirror, and answer them as fast as you can, as effective as you can. Try it again, rewind this, see how we answered it, how you answered it, and then keep it up. So when you finally get that question asked, you'll know what to do.
And guys, practice is what is going to up your game. So start with the mirror, find a family member, a friend, whoever it is, and practice. The more you practice, the more you're prepared. So the minute the objection comes up, you're like, oh, okay, third party. Oh, okay, decision maker. And you'll instantly classify it and you'll have a response ready to go. Guys, this is the difference between an amazing wholesaler and just an average wholesaler.
Can I say it?
Sure.
We talking about practice?
We talking about practice.
Guys, go out here, practice the lines, overcome objections, and you got this. This is Zach In signing out.
Rick In signing out.
Smash that like button, subscribe, check out freewholesaling.com, the ultimate wholesaling real estate course that's absolutely for free in the country. See you guys soon and have a blessed one.
Have a good one.